So today I want to talk to you about one of my very favorite things, which is brains. So I have a very, very special guest that I want to introduce to you. And here he is. His name is Jairus. And this is a real human brain. Somebody donated so that we could all learn more about brains, and that was very generous of him. So Jairus is an actual human brain. Now, real human brains are squishy like jello. Jairus is hard so that I can hold him and show him to you because they've put a kind of plastic wax inside of him. But normally it would be very, very squishy, kind of like your skin is squishy. So there's a couple things you might notice about Jairus right away. One is that he's got two halves. He's got a right half and a left half that are almost exactly alike, like mirror images of each other. If you look at just one side of him, this is how Jairus would be. So he would be facing you, just like I'm facing you. His eyes would be in the front here, and in the back here is where he would connect down to his spinal cord. The other thing you might notice about Jairus right away is that he isn't smooth. He has all these bumps and grooves. And we call the grooves sulci, and the bumps are called gyri, or one is called a gyrus, which is why that's his name. So why does Jairus have these grooves and bumps? Well, that's so he can fit more into your head. So if Jairus was flat, like this piece of paper, and we tried to fit him into your head, like this, where the brain goes, if it was flat, it wouldn't fit very well, right? Here's your head, and it wouldn't fit. But what if I squish it up like this? Then it fits really easily. And so you can see this brain, which has been all squished up with bumps and grooves, just like Jairus, fits right in your head with no problem. And it gives you a whole lot more cells in the same amount of space that would have been just smooth and taken up a lot more room. So today what I want to do is teach you about the parts of the brain, some of them, and what they do for you. And we're going to make a brain out of Play-Doh. The first thing you have to do is either you might have some Play-Doh at home that you can use. These are some old ones in a couple different colors. Or you can make your own Play-Doh. And you can decide which of these kinds of Play-Dohs you want to make. So when you make your brain, you can definitely make it all one color. Or if you want to, you can dye the clay different colors and make different parts of the brain different colors. You can use dye that you can buy in a store, like food coloring, or you can try your hand at making some of these natural dyes. For each of these, you would just boil the item in water for 2 or 3 minutes and then add that water to the clay. To make your own Play-Doh, you can use boiling water or the water that you used from the dyes, some oil, flour, and salt, cream of tartar if you have it. If you don't, you can use lemon juice or vinegar, and you just knead it until it's a good consistency. If you prefer, you can make this Play-Doh that you can actually eat. It's made from peanut butter, honey, and powdered milk. Just be sure to wash your hands really well if you're going to make it to eat it. And the best part about, of course, edible Play-Doh is you can tell everybody, I eat brains. Another option is to make this clay that you bake in the oven and it becomes hard and you can keep it for longer. So remember, here's your brain, looking at it from the side. This is the front and this is the back. Your eyes would be here and your ears here. Looking at it from the top, you can see the right side and the left side that look just the same. Here's the front, here's the back, and your ears would be here. So here's a cartoon version of your brain, and you can see the different colors here that represent what we call lobes. The lobe in the front of the brain, shown here in blue, is called the frontal lobe. It's involved with things like solving problems, planning what you want to do, and moving your body. The lobe at the top of the brain, shown here in yellow, is called the parietal lobe, and it's involved in things like seeing where things are in space, how you might move in order to reach for something or kick a ball, and reading maps. The lobe at the back of the brain, shown here in red, is called the occipital lobe, and it's involved in vision. The lobe along the side of the brain, near your temples, is called the temporal lobe, shown here in green. It's involved in hearing, some aspects of language, memory, and emotion. There's also this area here, which is called the cerebellum, and it's involved in coordination of movements. You can also see this motor strip in purple that helps make your muscles move. If I touch your brain there, you'll move part of your body. You can see here in light yellow the sensory strip that helps you know when something's touching your skin. I touch your brain here, it'll feel like somebody was touching your skin on your body somewhere. So I've made the Play-Doh that's mostly flour and water and salt. And I put in a little vinegar because I didn't have cream of tartar, but if you do, it's great to use cream of tartar. And what you're going to notice, it might be a little sticky first make it. So if it is, just keep kneading it, keep pressing at it, because the more you knead it, the less sticky it gets. But if it's still really sticky, you can just take a little bit of flour from here and throw it in there, and it'll make it a lot less sticky, and then you can play with it. So you're going to knead it and knead it. And then remember how Jairus had two hemispheres. So I'm going to break this into two parts. And I'm going to make this into a right hemisphere, just a blob like this. I'm going to make this into the left hemisphere, just another blob like this. I'm going to stick the two hemispheres together to make my brain. So I'm going to use the colored Play-Doh to make the sulci and gyri, and I'm going to make each of the lobes a different color. So I'm going to start with red, and I make the frontal lobes. Remember, the frontal lobes in the front are going to be red. So I'm going to make a little snake or worm or whatever you want to call it, and put it right along the front. Then I'm going to take the green, and I make the green be the parietal lobe, and I'm going to roll that into a worm, nice green worm, and I'm going to use that to be a groove on the parietal lobe. Then I'm going to take blue, we're going to have blue be the occipital lobe, right there. And then I'm going to take yellow, I'm going to have yellow be the temporal lobe. Remember, the temporal lobe's the thumb, like on the side of your brain, there. So when you're all done, your brain might look something like this. See all the sulci and gyri, and then I have all my different lobes labeled. And if you wanted to use extra colors, you can also color. Remember, we have the somatosensory strip and the motor strip. So this brain has the frontal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe, parietal lobe, and it has extra colors. This one here is the motor strip that makes your muscles move, and the purple one here is the sensory strip That's how you can feel somebody is touching your skin. So if you want to do a couple extra colors, maybe make a darker red or a darker green, you can do that for those strips. So what do you think? Should we serve this up for dinner? I think we could. To make this brain cap, you'll need to have a computer and a printer. Go to this website and print out the picture of the brain cap. You can print ones out in color, and you can print ones out that are already colored and already labeled, but I'm going to be using these plain ones so that I can do my own coloring and labeling. Once you've printed it out like this is the time to color it and label it. So you can color it all different colors, and you can label your lobes once again. So you remember we have the temporal lobe, the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, and the occipital lobe. You can do those different colors and you can label them. And you can also label vision, hearing and memory, moving in space, and planning and problem solving on each of the lobes. So the first thing that we're going to do is just cut these out. We're just going to cut right along these edges here. And once we've cut along all of the edges, you can see there are those triangles that kind of have dotted lines on them. And we're just going to make slits on each of these lines, here and here and here and here and here, and this big one here. So once you've got it all cut out and you have each of these slashes cut into it, you're going to take tape or glue stick or a stapler, whatever you have in your house. And I'm just going to use tape, and I'm going to take each of these slits and just fold it over onto where the dotted line is, and I'm going to tape it shut. I'm going to do that for each one of them on the right half of the brain and the left half of the brain. Once you have the two halves ready to go, the right half and the left half, you're going to put them together. So the sides that had lots of little slits are the two sides that are going to match up together. And then you're just going to take a little bit more tape or glue or whatever and tape them here. Now if you use regular glue and it needs to dry, you might want to use paper clips to keep it in place while it's drying. But meanwhile, we're just going to tape all along this edge so that these two halves are taped together. Once yours is all done and colored and taped together, you have an amazing brain cap, and you can wear this around and prove to everybody exactly how brainy you are. So I hope you enjoyed all these activities. I definitely enjoyed teaching you about the brain. And as always, I would love to see any photos of your brains or your Play-Doh brains or your brain caps or anything else. Take care.